Hello and welcome to all you astrology friends out there. This is your horoscope for, excuse me, the new moon in Taurus. That is happening around and about the 19th of May of 2023. And what does it mean in general? So a short introduction and then very concise, precise, getting to the point when it comes to all the 12 signs. So to start, around and about that time, we're going to have a new moon in Taurus. It's always around that time during this year that the moon and the sun will be together at, in this case, 28, almost 29, 28 degrees of Taurus. The sun and the moon, a conjunction there. And new moons are always endings and new beginnings for sure. So it's like a new cycle that starts, and we will all feel this for sure. So in Taurus, though, it's always about quality, new beginnings and endings around our value systems, about what we truly value in life. It's associated with the second house, which is all about not only financial resources like money and our assets, but it's also what we feel good about and the quality of life, the five senses of life. It's a very earthly sign. It's very down to earth, and it loves simple things, good food, good wines, good sex, good massages, all that kind of stuff. That's very Taurian. So we all have an opportunity here for a new beginning around those things. Around the rulership of Taurus is Venus. So Venus wants peace, and Venus wants to have fun, but in an earthly way here. Venus is ruled by Libra and also by Taurus, but now it's more the earthly side of the Venus. So more the, you could say, the sensual side of Venus. So what we also have is what we call a mutual reception. And that is that Venus, during this new moon, is in the sign of the moon, and the moon is in the sign of Venus. So in other words, the moon is in Taurus, ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Cancer, ruled by the moon. So actually these two together, Taurus and Cancer, they love one thing, and that is comfort. They love comfort, they love family, gatherings around family, right? The good foods again, the good cooking, the nurturing, and the stability of life is very much, you could say, it's a lot about hospitality as well. It's a very Cancerian kind of Taurian vibe. So the female planets, which is the moon and Venus, during this time, they want one thing. They want to have their quality up. They want to have their standards up, and they don't want to do a lot for it, right? They want to be very feminine, you could say. It's very feminine energy. It's in feminine signs, Taurus and Cancer, and that is all about leaning back and let it come to you. It's not about laziness. It's about trust. You trust that these things, that you are worth it, again, very Taurian, and they're gonna come to you, whether it is love, money, you name it. So that's the vibe. But, yes, there is a but. All of this, we have to look at what is happening in the sky with other planets. And the first thing that hit my eye is always the most important, I find, in my humble opinion. And that is that this new moon is on the fixed star that is called Caput Algol. So you can, if you don't know anything about it, I'm not going to do, because it could take a whole video. But that is a fixed star. In a nutshell, it's about losing one's head. In the myth, it's literally, but of course, it's figuratively. Of course it is. So it's about losing your head. So we have to keep in mind with this new moon that we're not losing our heads, right? Because there is a tendency, it's not to scare you, it's just there's a tendency to do that when we are not in the healthiest way, down to earth, and you could say aligned with the divine. So keep that in mind, that we have all that going on. We want quality, luxury. We want to slow down to be here, in the here and the now. That's very Taurian. But what else is going on? What are the other planets doing? Well, the other planets, it's right. You could say this new moon is quite supported by Neptune and by Pluto and so on. So no big deal. But there's another thing going on that is a bit the opposite. And it's the male planet. It's Mars. Whilst all of this is going on, you know, the female planets are really want to, you know, put on their nicest dress or most beautiful tuxedo and go out and have fun and have a good drink and what so on. But Mars is opposing Pluto. And it's not only that, we have in the midst of this a Mars opposite Pluto squaring up to Jupiter. So this is a very, when it comes to the male energy, Mars, which is about doing, it just enters, it's about to enter. It's at 29 degrees of Cancer. So it's, you could say a bit, it's frustrated, right? It's the Mars at 29 degrees of Cancer. It's not in the sign that it loves to be, because it's a very emotional sign, and Mars doesn't want to get emotional. Mars wants to do and wants to conquer and wants to go forwards in life and wants to act. But we have all these emotions here in the mix of it. So it causes a very frustrated Mars here. And on top of it, this Mars is going to oppose, like the day after or so, it's going to enter Leo with all its drama, and it's going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees, 0 degree Aquarius, 0 degree of Leo. That is a very, you could say, challenging energy to handle. Why? Because Pluto is the most difficult planet. No doubt about it. It's all about power, and it's all about strength in a good way and empowerment in a good way. But in a negative way, it's all manipulation and all stuff that is buried beneath the surface and we don't want to see it. What we see here is that the male energy in the atmosphere is super frustrated. And it's because of certain reasons, depending on your chart, right? Mars opposing Pluto is very, very, you could say it's a huge drive. It's a force of nature that is, it wants to do, which is Mars. But opposing Pluto means that when it's going to do what it wants to do intuitively and instinctively, it's going to cause transformation, right? That's what Pluto is all about. And for better or for worse, yes, it's an opposition. So it shows that often, not always, but often with this opposition, it shows that you first have to break things down in order to build it up again. You see what I mean? So a lot of frustration that we have, and this is a collective energy. So we all have some frustration somewhere. Some people have it in the workplace. Other people have it in a relationship. Other people have it with their children, and so on. So it depends. But we all feel that, going to feel that very frustrating energy that we say enough is enough. So it's like a culmination point. Mars opposite Pluto is like the knife is on the throat, you could say. And now what? What are you going to do? You have a knife on your throat. What are you going to do? Right? So in a good way, it's about standing up for yourself. When you are definitely in that area of your life, not taking into account to stand up for yourself and for your own needs. But it's going to have consequences. Remember, Pluto is transformation. So it's going to have consequences. So maybe you are fed up with your work. And you're going to say, this is it. You know, Mars opposite Pluto is energy that you have been suppressing. So the more you have suppressed, the more, and unconsciously or consciously, the more it is likely that this is going to burst, the combination of caput algol, which is a bit like losing your mind, and the combination of this Mars opposite Pluto, it's quite a dramatic energy, this combination of Taurus and Leo. But you could say, is this wrong? Is this bad? No. What has to happen has to happen. But it shows, be aware of that. And certainly the Mars opposite Pluto, be aware of where you have suppressed your energy too much. And putting it under the surface is not going to help. Where Mercury goes is direct now in Taurus. So you can start with slow communication around these topics where you have put your head in the sand. And we all do that. We all do that because we think, oh yeah, it's going to go. It's too complicated here. Right? But what it can do in a good way, yes, it can end that job that has been bothering you for months, maybe years. Yes, it can end the relationship because it's not meeting your needs for years and years and years. Yes, it can do that, but it's going to have consequences, of course, right? Your life is not going to be the same anymore. Do you have the courage to do that? When you are courageous, a Mars opposite Pluto is the best transit that one can have because it can free you up for sure. It frees you up in that way that your life totally changes. Enough of this drama, because it sounds very dramatic, but it's very dramatic energies. Of course, if you don't have any planets there, you're gonna feel a little bit of it, but it depends. So it depends on your personal chart. But around those days, expect that people around you or you yourself, depending on your chart, are going to make some drastic changes in life. We had the eclipses, and that was, the eclipses are done now, but we still have those consequences. And now we have an opportunity to act upon it. So think that when you are going to act, when the bubble is going to burst, if you feel already now when you're watching this video, that the bubble is going to burst, already start talking. We're at the Mercury retrograde stage, and it's a perfect timing to talk about these things so that we can make sure that it goes a bit more smoothly. But anyway, exciting energy for sure. And so the one side of us wants to be very yin, and the other, it's extremely yin, and the other side is extremely yang. It's like, I want to, when the knife is on my throat, I'm going to attack you. I'm going to stand up for myself. It's that kind of energy. It's extremely masculine, extremely feminine. But keep your mind here, not in the clouds, not with the caput algol, and forearmed is forewarned. That's what astrology is for, because these are energies. We can go with those energies or not. Now, the best thing for here is to really, now with the Mercury retrograde still, is to contemplate and to think about how you're going to act, and to do that in small steps. But definitely look into the mirror. Because if not, especially with this Mars opposite Pluto, when we suppress things, it's going to come out in a way that we don't like it. I mean, that's so platonic, isn't it? Everyone who's got a strong Pluto in their chart, and especially Mars with Pluto, knows that. They know that the more they suppress, they can do it for a while. For the short run, it's okay. And it seems like all is fine, but it's not. And people feel it, people feel it, that there is brewing something that needs to come out. Something needs to come out in the light, Mars opposite Pluto. And it has to do with people because it's an opposition. So it has to do with other people. We have to come out there, and then we can clear. And it's a bit crisis prone for sure. But after a crisis, you could say there is opportunity for new beginnings. So what an energy this is. Very, very challenging, but beautiful energy. And with this Mars opposite Pluto, it squares up to Jupiter. So it's even more amplified. So the gorilla kind of energy is amplified here. The ego, right? Mars in Leo, it's like the ego. So mind your ego. Be aware of your ego. And mind, your ego can be hurt very easily. When you have a big ego, it can be hurt very easily, isn't it? So mind you of that for sure. Let's have a look at the 12 signs very shortly, just to know the area of life where all of this is centered. This new beginning for Aries is in your second house. So this is all about new beginnings when it comes to your resources, your values. You want to have that upgrade and you're ready for it for sure. You want to really have peace in your home and in your family, because there is where Venus is in Cancer. But you have to make sure that you're not exaggerating in that fifth house of yours, because Mars is your ruler. So what I said in the beginning is very much applicable for you, because you are Mars. And so there must be something for you, Aries people, your fire, your creativity. If you have been suppressing it, not so good, huh? Explore and express it as good as you can, and try to align yourself with the divine and for a bigger purpose. And to show who you are is so important. You cannot just camouflage that. That is not good. Could also mean with your children could be very Mars-like now, so that they have really that they trigger you tremendously. But remember your pride. Don't be too proud, right? But all in all, you could say new starts when it comes to your belongings, your assets for sure. Taurians, wow. I mean, what I said in the beginning, it's all applicable for you because you have this in your first house. So there's definitely a lot happening for you. There's definitely a lot that you want to communicate. That Venus in the third house, in a gentle way. You want to communicate in a gentle way. You want to say what it is that is important for you. But this Mars in your fourth house, it's like people feel it, that you're brewing something. Don't sugarcoat things now. But there could be a lot of, you could say, tension in the home area. So in your family and for whatever reason. But know that you have a chance now to tackle it. Don't run away from it. Don't put your head in the sand. It's going in the long run, make you, no good, not good feeling. It can even make you sick, if you will, if you keep on doing that. And if you already feel that, it's a sign, right? Taurians, they really have to here stand up for their core values and their emotions. So make sure that you have an emotional setup to build on, and that you are not reacting but responding. Geminis, for you it's a bit of a lighter thing, although this new moon is in your 12th house, so you could say it's a releasing of some sorts. It's a releasing, it's a letting go of old pattern, things that are not suiting for you. And this Venus is in the second house, so you really want to have good foods, good wines, and enjoying yourself. And also the money, why not? Now Mars is in your third house, where you have to watch out for is your speech, what you say, or that you don't attack, that you are assertive but not arrogant. That's the trick there. Also, there could be someone that is, being a bit challenging on the, you could say, communicative level, but nothing that you can't handle because you're a Gemini, right? Geminis are good, normally, when it comes to their communication. Cancerians. This is, of course, you are going to feel this a lot because you are ruled by the moon. But this new moon is in Taurus, and that is very nice energy for you. It's happening in your 11th house. There are endings and new beginnings with friends and with your goals for the future. So some goals, you need to let go of them. They're not realistic or whatever, but it could be a goal, maybe more goals that you have to let go of so that you can make space for new ones. There could be also, when it comes to a friendship or a group of friendships, that you're saying, this is not it anymore. It's not me. It's not who I am, or I'm not getting any value out of it. And it has to stop so that I have space for real friendship, because Taurus, that is what Taurus all wants. It wants realness. It wants Also peacefulness in the friendships. So it's a good opportunity to renew that kind of energy there. Mars, so where do you need to be careful for is in your second house, the house of your money, the house of your assets. In a good way, you will hustle for the money. You will work hard to get the money. But there could be a battle going on, especially if you're in a relationship. There could be a battle going on in values, that you want something and they want something, but it's not matching up. If so, remember what I said in the beginning, you have to stand up for your needs. Your needs are as important as the other person. So you have to talk about this, because otherwise, the blow up that I was saying. Leos, this is happening in your 10th house, the highest point of your horoscope, which is your career. You have opportunities here to end a career, to start up a new career. If you're not working, this is about how you profile yourself to the world. There is something that is old and you want to show yourself in a new way. And Mars, of course, is in your sign. So the tricky part here is you. So watch out that you could really have enough of relationships now, and which is a sign that you have to talk about all this. But with Mars in your first house, you could be a little bit more arrogant than assertive. So make sure that you're assertive, that you say what you want to say, but not in an arrogant way, that you walk all over this other person, because then it's quite damaging, really. And that will have consequences in the long run. So be very mindful of how you are going to act, but it's definitely a way, in a good way. This is really like you cutting off a relationship that is not working for you, that is going over your boundaries, right? If a person is doing something that is not okay, you're not going to say, yeah, it's good, I'm just going to close my eyes. But in anything, right? Because the first house is your path, so it could also mean work and whatnot. Venus is in your 12th house, so this is a bit tricky as well. You could have like those ideals that are not realistic. You could have unrequited love. You could have like an eye for someone who's not available. But at its best, it's doing something for someone in need, right? Like charity and all of that. Virgos, this is nice for you. Why? Because you, together with the Capricorns, you are a fellow earth sign, and this is in your 9th house, a very positive new moon. So there's a new start for you, like that considers your mindset, I'm a Virgo, and I certainly feel that energy already. It's a lot associated with traveling as well. So you could have new travel plans, or trying to do things that you want to do for a long time, and you're doing the setup here. It could be a plan for studying something new, learning something new, you teaching in a totally new way. All of these things. And Venus is in your 11th house. That is so lovely. That is good friendships. That is enjoying your friendships. When you have a job of your own, when you're your own boss, you could have more money coming in, because the 11th house is the second of the 10th house. So it's a money house as well. You could have more, networking for sure. But Mars is in your 12th house. So that is a bit tricky there. What is the trickiness? It's you. It's you, the self-undoing energy. So don't push. Virgos are known for that, because they and it's in the way that they want to be perfect, right? So they are a bit self-sabotaging themselves. So watch out for that. It's the only thing that you could do wrong, you could say. But it's about this energy behind the scenes. Use it to prepare something. Once, within 6 weeks or so. Mars will be in your sign. So prepare a new beginning behind the scenes, or be active in a way that you could go for a travel, for instance, for faraway places, and be very active there, and explore or preparing your plans for the future. Therefore, it's all a good thing. So remember the undermining energy, but for the rest, it's a very social kind of energy for you. Librans, this is happening in your 8th house. So this is really a transformation for you or an opportunity. That could be happening something that is out of your control. The 8th house has to do with crises, but it also has to do with transformation. So there could be an event and you have to act upon it. But it has to do also with your wishes for the future, because Mars, the planet of action, is in your 11th house. So this is all about your goals for the future. And you could really, really go for it now, right? You could also have, with a connection, with a friendship, that a friend is going through a huge transformation there, or they are a bit too manipulative, you towards them or them towards you. And in any way, there is an opportunity to break that, and either it's going to be the end of it or it's going to be an upgrade that you get with some, you could say, association or friendship. Venus is in your 10th house. So if you want to have another job, if you want to do some interviews and so on, be you. Use your charms. I mean, Librans, they are ruled by Venus. They are one of the most charming signs for sure. So use it. Scorpio, this is happening in your relationship sector. So yes, there is endings, new beginnings in the relationship, whether you are single or not. If you're single, there could be someone new coming in for sure. For sure. It could be someone foreign, because Venus is in the 9th house, and the 9th house is associated with faraway countries and that kind of stuff, or when you study, or when you're going to subscribe for a workshop or whatever. So definitely newness there. If you are in a relationship, there's definitely a shift. There's definitely a shift. The person that you are with is going through a transformation. It's going through an ending and a new beginning for sure. And they could really show who they are, and in a very masculine way, because there is the Mars opposite Pluto going on at the top of your chart. So it's like all, you could say for Scorpios, it's very simple. All of their key areas of their life are activated here. So the relationships, when you are single for a long time, now could be the time that, yes, you're open for a new one. If the relationship has not been going well, you are, remember, you are ruled by Mars, your ancient ruler. You're fed up. Mars opposite Pluto. So if you've been suppressing, but I don't have to explain that to a Scorpio. You know how that works. If you have been suppressing too much, if those people, that partner of yours is crossing your boundaries way too much, this is a time where you can say stop, or circumstances. Also the other way around, when you cross their boundary too much, it's a bit the same, it goes two ways. It depends on your story. But definitely also a possibility here that you could have some manipulation going on at the workplace. And if so, you're not going to tolerate that. I mean, you're a Scorpio after all, and vice versa. If you try to manipulate yourself into a job, it's not going to work. There are people out there that are very strong as well, like you. And that's the whole thing, just to show you who you are. And to do that in a positive way. Sagittarians, this is in your 6th house. I really like this for you, because this can mean a new beginning when it comes to your health and when it comes to your routines and work. So I'm a Sag rising, and I'm definitely thinking about starting up some new routines after this new moon. And it's a really good plan, because there is more chance that you are going to stick to them. Whether it is like changing your diet, or whether it is like more exercises or more whatever, something that is good for your physical health. And that is going to have a knock-on effect on your mental health as well. And this Venus is in your 8th house. So there is You know, a lot of deep feelings here considered. Venus in the 8th house can mean that you attract money from others. It can also mean inheritances, it can mean tax returns, but it can also mean hidden love, right? There could be some story going on that is a bit behind the scenes, or in a good way. This is great intimacy, right? It's like a bit of Venus in Scorpio, great intimacy and deep intimacy, you being very real with a special person. And I mean, not only on the physical level, like the sexual level, but also the mental, the emotional level, everything, right? That's the 8th house. It's vulnerability. So there could be that a person and you are very vulnerable towards each other, and that can be a beautiful thing. Can be a beautiful thing for sure. Mars is in your 9th house, so travel, studying. There could be, whilst you are doing that, that it has a really transformative effect. That you study something and it's like mind-blowing. You're studying something, or you're watching a movie, you go to a cultural event, and you know, Mars in the 9th house is being active in that house. It's being active in a way of wanting to really explore. And as Mars is in Leo, it goes well with your Sagittarian energy, right? So there could be some breakthroughs, but very on a mental level, not so much like, doing actions and it's, you know, cutting off with a relationship or cutting off with a job. It's more on a mental level, cutting off with a way of thinking that is toxic for you. Capricorns, your 5th house. This is a beautiful new moon because you Capricorns, just like the Taurians, you are a fellow earth sign. So that could be when you're single for a long time, that could be like, a new love coming in here. Beautiful with Venus in your 7th house. They're going to be lovely, handsome, beautiful, gentle. I mean, and very nurturing indeed. So what a beautiful energy this is here. If you are in a relationship, it could be like a new beginning in that 5th house. It could be like, we want to have a baby. Or it could be like, we're going to do some new stuff that we haven't done before and that we both like. You know, that's very enjoyable. It's the 5th house, very creative. Or you could start with a partner, with a business partner, a new project, a new business. Mars is in your 8th house though. So a lot of energy behind the scenes. It could be sexuality, because of all the newness, a new relationship that you could start, for instance. That could be this, Mars in the 8th house is associated with sexuality, but in a way that is a bit more just like broader than the physical. It's also the emotional side, it's the vulnerable side of us, that we show ourselves naked emotionally, you could say. So that could be a beautiful expression of that. But it's quite raw, you know, with this opposition of Pluto. There could be a bit of a struggle when it comes to values. But know that, you know, trying to balance that out and to be, you know, following your integrity as much as you can. It could also mean that you're preparing something behind the scenes, that you're working behind the scenes, or that you're taking off a couple of weeks or a week or a couple of days, and you're catching up with your psychology, you could say, with understanding who you are and exploring that. Aquarians, very important, because this is all happening in fixed signs, you know, Taurus and Leo. You're another fixed sign as well. So this is happening, this new moon, and the deepest core of your horoscope, which is really important, that you're not emotionally going to react, but respond. And that is a big difference, because things are happening around you and you stay still. You know, you count to 10 if you have to. And that really, really helps, because you know, and you are more present and aware. So there is some newness happening, and, you know, old ways of you being triggered emotionally, and that you are now dealing with in a new way. There's definitely opportunity for that. And with Venus in your 6th house, you really want to enjoy life in the day-to-day life, which is your routines that you're doing, your work that you're doing. And there is definitely energy that is possible there. But where you need to look out for is your relationships. Mars in the 7th house, it is them. I mean, when you're in a relationship, it is them that are going to be either assertive or arrogant. I hope the first one, but they're going to stand up for themselves. Now, why that is depends on your story. Maybe you have been a bit too much crossing their boundaries. Or if not, you can really say to yourself, okay, if this is if they are like, a gorilla, this is not for me, right? So it will have consequences. But there's something in the relationship that needs to be brought up here that is hidden for a long time, and you have an opportunity to do that. But it's going to be brought up by the partner for sure. If you are single, you could attract someone who's very feisty, who's very, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And it depends on you. You choose. You have your free will to say, yeah, I like that or not. And last but not least, Pisceans, this is happening in your 3rd house. Taurus and Pisces go well, very well. So this is endings and new beginnings when it comes to the way that you think. An old way that is not so realistic. You need to let go of that. And there is opportunity here, new beginnings with neighbors, siblings. I've been saying that for a long time because there's so much energy in your 3rd house at the moment. And also, if you can do short trips or learning something new, do it. A skill. If there is a skill that you want to learn, go for it now. Venus in your 5th house is amazing for you. I mean, Venus in Cancer, that goes well with your energy. Now is the time to enjoy yourself, to go out there. Whatever it is that you love to do, do it. And because Venus in the 5th house means that you're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to enjoy enjoyable things. And that is definitely a very good energy that you have during this new moon. Mars is in your 6th house. So for you, this Mars opposite Pluto, Mars in Leo there in the 6th house, is like you wanting to fight for something that improves your routines, improves your work, improves your daily life. So, but Mars, and it could also mean, is also your health. So you could be very active now to find ways that are drastically going to change the way you do your routine. So make sure it is a positive one. So don't overdo it, right? With this Mars in your 6th house, like having 4 hours of fitness, don't do that. It could really harm you. But in a good way, it could really mean breakthroughs that you were scared of, that you weren't courageous enough for, and that you're starting up now. Could also be a little bit of tension here at the workplace. If so, mind you, don't play those ego games, right? Be the smart one. Of course, protect your boundaries for sure, but be the smart one. Don't go in the drama. There could be some drama around you with colleagues and so on. But it will pass. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. But this is a very interesting new moon. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening and bye-bye.